All right, so I got my carrier bearing on here for my 87 long bed GMC truck. I ended up using a piece of pipe over the end of it and using a hammer and putting it on. It actually went on a little bit easier. Anyway, so one thing done. I still got to replace that U-joint. I still have to put one U-joint in the other drive shaft. If I remember right, I got one U-joint in on the other drive shaft. It's in the back of my truck. And I've got the other one knocked out, but I need to put the new one in. And then this one needs heated out and installed. So I did get another U-joint at the parts store when I bought that. So, man, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. When I tried it a long time ago, I don't even remember what I used to try to put it on there, but it's on now. Well, so now I'm going to see if this truck will start in 19-degree weather, which I doubt it does because it's just got a little 600 cold cranking amp battery in it. Come on, baby. Hey, it ran. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to let it run a while. Yep, I'm cold. This thing's been running for a while out here and it's still not up to the warm temp yet, or operating temp yet. Well, I got close over here, I'm about to hit my mirror, I think. Well, for sure fixed something, because usually when you cold start this thing and you start it up and it hasn't been driven yet, when you put it in gear, reverse or drive, you'd hear a clunk, like a U-joint clunk. And anyway, so now it's a new carrier bearing and new U-joints. Yeah, it's not making a squealing sound like it was the other day. I think what happened to the old one is the bearing seized up on it, and it was just, the whole thing was spinning inside that rubber case on that carrier bearing, because it sounded like squealing going on under there. Yeah. Need to probably take it out on the highway and get it up to 65 or 70 and see if the drive shaft will fly out of it first. So I got a buddy of mine that's making fun of my white glasses, my white framed seeing glasses, eyeglasses. Truth is, I got them from my local Dollar General store for $7, and they come with a little case. If I would go to the eye doctor and buy a pair of prescription, probably a couple $100. So do I spend $7 on glasses that work, or and spend $150 or $170 on car parts? I think you know what I'm going to choose. You know what I mean? Car parts are more important than your eyesight. All right, guys, I am getting ready to prime this engine with oil. So I have a distributor shaft here that I'd cut off an old HEI. This is off one of them old electronic, the computer controlled HEIs from the like 81 or 82 and up GM. I basically cut it down and ground that down to where it'll fit in a drill, and this is what I use to prime it. I have seen oiling deals like in Summit, and it's just this rod part, and you actually have to have this down in the block right here because the oil passage is right there. So this has to be in there to block that off to get the oil up here to the rockers and stuff. So anyway, that's why I did that. But anyway, so I am using the most hated filter in the world, which is a Fram. The reason I'm using it is I'm going to prime the crap out of this engine, and then I'm going to take the filter off and I'm going to put my good filter on. So that's what that is for, is just to catch all the debris and dirt and whatever may be in there that I'm going to circulate through. So I'm going to use some Rotella oil here. Rotella is what I like to use. You know, since this is a roller, I don't have to have the zinc and stuff in it, so I basically need to check and make sure that is tight before I pour that oil in there. Yeah, it's tight. All right. I always run the 15W40, I think is what it is, Rotella. When I went down to my local Walmart a couple days ago, this is all they had, was just straight 30 weight. So I've had this over there in front of my heater, and it's like this bottle's pretty warm. Got a little warm, try to get it a little bit thinned up a little bit. So I pre-filled the oil filter, so it's got, I mean, that's just 4 quarts, but I got probably, I don't know, a half a quart in the filter maybe. So it's good enough just to prime it, to clean it. I don't have to top it completely off. All right, I got to set the intake on it so I have a stop for my distributor shaft. Does not want to go down in there. Golly, man. Now I got an oil pressure gauge, a mechanical one here, screwed in above the oil filter, so I can watch my oil pressure here. I need to set up here so I can see it actually. It usually takes a while to get this rocking and rolling here, but shaft out of its spot there. Good golly, I did. Got a few rockers oiling and making a mess already. This one's oiling, that one's oiling, that one's oiling, that one's oiling. This one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. So we don't have them all yet. Trying not to make a huge mess, but it's probably going to do it anyway. So now I need to roll the engine over a little bit. These rockers are making a huge mess. Wish that was longer. Oh my gosh. All 8 of these are oiling. All 8 of those are oiling, so I am done. You don't technically have to rotate the engine. You can leave it. It just takes forever. Like you'll burn up your electric drill or kill a battery in your cordless trying to get it all done. If you rotate it a little bit, it just always seems to kind of help a little bit. But I always prime my engines before I put them in, no matter what. I learned a lesson back in probably the mid to late 1990s. I had an 87 Buick Grand National and I had all the machine work done, bored, forged pistons, did a whole big engine build on that Grand National. And I did not know that you were supposed to pack the oil pump on a Buick 3.8 V6 with Vaseline. And I didn't prime the engine, just stuck it in there dry and started it up. And by the time it finally got oil to it, it smoked all the brand new bearings and everything. So I had to redo that engine twice. So after that, it was prime every one of them, but it was a little too late to learn, you know, gotta prime them engines. This just basically ensures, you know, if you got any, like in the garage or driveway, and you got any dirt and dust and stuff in your engine, which is kind of impossible not to do that. for a garage guy, I should say. You know, you don't have no fancy dust-proof room that's, you know, to build the engine in. And anyway, so to me, it kind of help. It flushes out the system basically on the prime anyway, but kind of helps get some of that big trash worked all the way through to that filter a little bit. And that crankshaft's not sitting there spinning with it running, you know, grinding that stuff away into the bearings. That's just my assumption. May not be true, but I just like priming them anymore. That will work. I wish it wasn't dripping so dang bad. I might end up doing a little bit more, but I think that's probably good. I mean, 60 pounds of oil pressure there for a little bit. Every one of them's doing their job, so I'm happy with that. I might run it a little bit more. All right, guys, so I got the engine all primed up. All the rockers are oiling, which is really, really awesome. I'm pretty happy about that. It did make a mess. You know, I want to watch the rockers and make sure they all get oil going through them, so I couldn't put the valve covers on there. Anyway, I was getting a mess with the oil running down the side of the engine off a few of them. Wasn't terrible, but I ended up wiping it down with a wet microfiber and then going back with a dry, brand new microfiber, and I used my wax and grease remover and cleaned it all off. So at this point, I need to get the drill out of it, or off of it, and get my primer back in its old Ziploc bag down there and put it back in my drawer. And then I might actually leave the intake on it tonight. I've been covering it up with a big plastic lawn and leaf garden bag over there, but I may go ahead and leave the intake on it and go ahead and set the valve covers back on it. And then I got a little t-shirt over there I might lay over the carburetor here, and the oil fill and the water neck and stuff. But anyway, if I can get my stupid flex plate from Summit, I can be dropping this dude in. It is ready to rock. Now I have decided I'm going to leave that Fram oil filter on there right now until I get the engine in the car, because I have before, at least twice that I remember, I have smashed an oil filter or knocked a dent in it trying to get the engine and trans in together because it has to go in at such an angle. I have whacked the oil filter bottom on an engine mount, not on Tri-5. I done it on a G-body, and I think I done it on my old C10 short bed I used to have. I used to have an 84 Silverado short wide that was lowered. But anyway, before I stick change that filter out and put a $20 Canon filter on there and then knock a dent in the bottom of it, I thought it'd be best to leave that old cheapy Fram on there until I get the engine and trans in the car, and then I'll change it out. I do have to go to Walmart in the next couple of days, and I need to get some distilled water because I'm going to fill the engine up for first fire up with distilled water, straight distilled water first, and then basically check for leaks, make sure everything's good, and then after that, once it cools down a little bit and it doesn't burn me when I drain the water out of it and pull the plugs out of the side of the block, I'm going to drain everything out. Drain the radiator out from the petcock, and then go back and fill it with distilled water and Prestone. So anyway, I have to go back to Walmart in a few days for that. So I think at that point, I'm hoping they have the 1540 Rotella in stock, because I don't really want to leave straight 30 weight Rotella in here, especially this time of year with it being cold. So anyway, if they have the 1540, I'm going to go ahead and drain that oil out and when I change the filter and just take it out. Now this oil is probably still pretty much brand new, so I will probably strain it through like a brand new microfiber into some paint strainers and back into the bucket, and I'll just mark on the bottle lawnmower, because it's probably about time for me to change the oil in my riding lawnmower anyway, so that's what I'll use that straight 30 weight for. But anyway, now I do want to say I know there's guys that are probably going to be griping, or they're going to say, I don't like Fram filters, you shouldn't use that, or Rotella oil, you shouldn't use that, you should use this. You got to remember something. This is not your car. This is mine. I'm footing the bill on the stuff, and I like this stuff. I'm not saying I like Fram filters. I like to use the Fram cheap filters because they're $4 at Walmart to do a pre-oil on the engine to get the contaminants through from building the engine in a garage that's not dust-proof. And then put the nice filter on. I always run Wicks. I always run Wicks oil filters. But when it comes to priming an engine, and I know I'm going to take the filter off, I'm not going to spend 15 bucks on an oil filter to stick on there for 10 minutes of priming, you know what I mean? So again, I don't care if you don't like it or not. That's what I do. I've been using Rotella for about the past 20 years. I like the oil. The best thing about it for me, it's at my local Walmart, and it's like 15 bucks for 4 quarts. So I'm good with it. So what I did this morning was about a third of this back glass with an Eastwood polishing kit. And if you can see the reflection of the light on the glass, it actually done a pretty good job, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now, I do have a lot of experience with this Eastwood glass polishing kit. A shop I used to work at, the boss was the one that did all the glass polishing, and he always used this. This is a fantastic, you know, for cleaning your glass up, but I will tell you, it absolutely will not remove a deep scratch. You're not going to be able to sit there and polish a scratch you can feel with your fingernail. You're not going to get that out of there. You can use sanding discs to get it out, which this kit came with 3. You can sand a scratch out, but when you're done, you're going to have a divot in your glass that you're going to see. It's going to look like you're looking in one of the old school Coke bottles down inside of it. It's going to have that wavy look to it. So if you've got light scratches and a haze or a film on it, it will polish it and clean it up pretty good, and that's proof. So if you've never messed with this kit, Eastwood's the only place I know to get it, because it is Eastwood. Let's see if I get the lid up over here. That is pretty much what you get. And I have hardly used any out of this since my dad bought this for me last summer. It's just like buying a bag of potato chips. It's almost all air, and that's pretty much what you get there. But it'll come with a pad that velcros onto your sander, or they come with an attachment you can put in your drill. I just never have used it. I have this that I use my buffing wheels on, or buffing pads for, you know, little detail areas. Anyway, you mix it with water until it's the consistency of peanut butter, and it doesn't take a whole lot. And so this will last for a while. But anyway, it will clean that glass up and polish it and get a lot of the light scratches out of it and make it look pretty nice like that. So I'll bring you around to this side, and you can look. Try looking at the light reflection right there, and you can see it's kind of hazy looking. I don't know if it's going to show up in the camera or not, but that over there, it almost looks like brand new glass compared to this. This glass does have some, you know, deep scratches here and there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I didn't have the money to replace this one. All the other glass in the car is brand new except this. But those Tri-5 Chevy catalogs will get you when you're looking in there. It'll show a back glass in there for, say, 200 bucks or 250 bucks. It's probably about the same amount or a little more to get this freighted to your house. So it was going to be like $500 or $600 bucks for this back window, and I just said heck with it. I'll just clean this one up and run it, and that's what I did. Now, I did use 4/0 steel wool and Windex before I installed it, and it cleaned a lot of the stuff off of it, made it slick to the touch. But that Eastwood kind of takes a little bit further and gets all that light haze out of there and some of the light scratches. But pretty much, if you can feel it with your fingernail, it's not coming out. Unless you spend lots of time getting it out, and then you're going to have a divot in the glass. You're going to see it. So it's either live with a scratch or live with a divot. And I prefer not to spend all the time on it and just leave the scratches. So I do have one spot I'm going to try to work out right here. I think it's on the inside. I'm going to try to get that out. But anyway, guys, I'm going to jump off here. Thanks for watching. All right, this is going to be the outro video since I formatted an SD card and I lost one of the videos where I actually had the engine up in the air on my engine hoist over there, trying to put the flex plate on it. So I'm going to get you caught up here so you'll know what's going on. So back a couple months back when I bought, which I think it was in November, I don't remember, I ordered a balancer and a flex plate for this 400. It is external balance, so you have to have the counterweight on the flex plate. So when I had that little bit of money, I tried to get everything at once. I ended up getting just a stock replacement flex plate from Summit. This was like $24 or something. I don't remember. It was cheap. So the one that I wanted at Summit was a TCI black anodized 153 tooth flex plate, but it was 90 bucks for that thing. So, you know, I didn't have that much money at the time, so I went ahead and bought this one. What I got into was when I tried to put this flex plate on there, a couple of the bolt holes did not line up. One of them's off pretty bad. And looking at it straight on, it looks kind of right, but it is not. So at that point, I worried if the bolt holes are off, what else is wrong? You know what I mean? Did they get the counterweight put on correctly? I mean, it just kind of made me worry. Now I could have went in there and ovaled them holes out, but a flex plate gets a lot of torture. I'm not going to do that. It could possibly crack out later. It could cause the flex plate to come loose. I just don't want to take the chance over a $20 part. So I went ahead on the 18th. This is when this happened, was the 18th, on the morning of the 18th. I went ahead and bought that flex plate from Summit, the $90 one. And I threw this one in my trash can out here. And I actually just dug this out for the video and wiped it back off. But anyway, so this flex plate is not going to work for me. So I ordered that new one on the 18th. Now, I went in and checked my order status yesterday. It still said in process at Summit. It hasn't even shipped. And I was like, what the heck? So I called them, talked to the guy. Well, they're doing a warehouse reorganization is what he called it. So that's why the parts haven't been sent out yet. When I bought that flex plate, it said ships today, and that's why I bought it. Anyway, he said, well, let me look at another location and see if we can get it coming from another location. That's the first thing they should have done if they're not sending anything out from Texas. You know what I mean? So anyway, he said they had 13 in stock and every one of them's at Texas. Now, how silly is that? So anyway, he said it may ship out today, it may be tomorrow. So I was pretty upset. I told him, you know, I've been ordering parts from you guys for 30 years. I have never even heard of this. So I was pretty mad, and I actually hung up on the guy because I was pretty ticked off at that point. I wanted to get my engine in my car this weekend. I got to have the flex plate on there because I'm putting engine and trans in together into the car. So anyway, basically I checked order status this morning, and it's supposed to be here tomorrow. So I guess they got off their butt and decided, hey, I better ship this guy's part out. I'm assuming. So anyway, so this is a 168 tooth flex plate for a small block Chevy. This has actually 400. You can get it for anything else. It just won't have the counterweight. But this is a 153 tooth. This is the difference in diameters on these flex plates. So depending on what you want to do, you can get either flex plate. Now, I like to run mini starters, especially when I have headers, because headers will heat soak a stock starter, and you'll be stranded somewhere and it'll act like the battery's dead. And what it is the headers have heat soaked your starter, and it's going to have to wait till this cools off. I've tried everything back in the day in the 90s trying to, you know, still get by in it. I ended up having to get one of these. I've never had an issue since. I buy a mini starter and put it on an engine every time if I'm running headers, just to not have the headache trying to run heat shields or remote starters from a Ford and all kinds of crap. None of that stuff worked for me back then. So when you buy a mini starter, these cheaper ones, they usually come with dual pattern. One is for 153 tooth, the other one's for 168. So the thing about a 153 tooth flex plate is it will get that mini starter more inboard toward the engine, away from your headers. So that is what I'm going to do. Now, I've got a note on here. It says Loctite head screws. These are clockable in this plate right here. You can see the extra holes in there. So you can rotate this off the block here and change, you know, how you get it to fit up to the engine. When I sold my 80 Regal to a guy, he stopped by here. It's been a couple of months ago. I wish I'd have videoed that. He got the 80 Regal I built and had it painted flat black. He got it painted pearl white, and it looks awesome. But he got ready to leave, and he started it up, and it was grinding the starter real bad. I was like, what the heck? So I looked down there at the starter when he was trying to start it, and that this was moving from the block. So these screws had backed off. So learning that lesson from that, I'm going to put a little Loctite on these and, you know, hopefully not have that issue. So that might be a good idea for you to do that as well. Now, they do have little lock washers on them, but I guess apparently that didn't work. But anyway, right now I'm waiting on a flex plate to come in for the 55. It should be here tomorrow. So I may get my engine in this weekend, hopefully Sunday. So my wife will be here, so she can, I'm going to have her guide the transmission down in there as I'm dropping them both in. So maybe getting the transmission here. So I've been doing little odd stuff to the car, not engine related. I did polish a couple of pieces of stainless that I already had sanded and everything. I polished on the back glass a little bit on that side just to kind of do a test, and it actually worked out pretty good. So I will put in the video me polishing the rest of this back window. This isn't original. The rest of the glass in the car is new. But anyway, that's the outro. And today is, this is the 21st. This is Friday. So golly, just stuck. in limbo here, but I do have other stuff to do. Thanks for watching.